So who is Neil Record? We meet the climate change skeptic think tanker Bankrolling, Kemi Badenoch's campaign. We're going to read into this more from Byline Times, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from Byline Times with the headline of Who is Neil Record? Meet the climate change skeptic think tanker Bankrolling, Kemi Badenoch's campaign. The Conservative leadership favourite Kemi Badenoch is running her campaign in the home of the wealthy Tufton Street donor. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share it across social media so others are notified of this video. Oh, what a surprise. The Tufton Street faithful are bankrolling Kemi Badenoch. Yes, they are. So this could be very much Liz Truss 2.0 potentially. And the kind of thing is, when I talked about this before in previous videos, after reading this one, this doesn't surprise me at all. And we know that there are many climate skeptics out there who are trying to downplay the changes that's happening to climate as a means to keep damaging the planet, to keep warming up the planet, pretty much, essentially. And Neil Record is another one of them, who is pretty much chucked tons and tons of money towards Kemi Badenoch's campaign because even though she's batshit crazy, she really is. But that's the situation that that the Conservatives are in right now in opposition, being kicked out after 14 years of destroying the UK and everything that it stands for. And we are in this situation now where they have to choose between a guy who had fears of Mickey Mouse when he was younger and painted over the murals because he didn't want kids there to have the same Mickey Mouse feelings that he had when he was a child, because that's why he has a problem with Mickey Mouse murals and has said some of the dumbest and daftest things in history. Then you have Kemi Badenoch, who has a problem with people with maternity pay, and also thinks that people should be working 6 days a week instead of 5 days a week. He thinks that you should be working more for your living, and you shouldn't be entitled to any kind of time or lovely life and whatsoever. These are the choices that the Conservatives have to choose when they finally make their decision, which is not too far actually. It will be on the Saturday, the 2nd of November, is when it's supposed to be the new Tory leadership leader will be officially be unveiled. So let's read into this, you guys. So Kemi Badenoch is the current favourite to become the next Conservative Party leader, according to Byline Times. She has made it to the final two candidates and is currently touring new TV studios and making a pitch to members with offensive comments about civil servants and autistic people. Yeah, because obviously autistic people, you can make fun of them and get away with it, right? I'm joking, of course not. It's absolutely disgusting, the comments that she's made about them. In the Telegraph, Tony Sewell hailed her as a true inheritor of Thatcher's legacy. One way in which Sewell's words ring true is that Badenoch campaign received £10,000 from arch Thatcherite city trader and climate change skeptic Tufton Street think tanker Neil Record. According to a report by Bloomberg, Badenoch has also been quietly using Record's house as her campaign office. Record has also previously compared Badenoch to Thatcher, suggesting that she has similar stardust to he's here. So who is Badenoch's wealthy benefactor? Well, Neil Record began his career as a Bank of England economist before moving into the private sector to work for the Mars Group. He soon struck out on his own, founding Record Treasury Management, and began making his name in the currency trading. When Record's company flaunted on the London Stock Exchange in 2007, over 20 years after it was founded, he netted a fortune of $170 million. Record spent the 1990s currently trading and warning about the potential for derivatives to blow up in the faces of those trading them. In 1994, he precisely argued that the lack of understanding of derivatives would prove to be the undoing of some companies, banks, and even governments. When the scale of traders and negligible became clear following in 2008, he argued for a limit liable model for bankers' bonuses, meaning that over a certain amount that would be held liable to replenish equally capital wiped out by bad trades from their bonuses. And during that time, the 2000s came around, Record had begun making more interventions into policy debates. A long-time Eurosceptic, he opposed the European single currency and argued that the EU was dragging the UK into a mire of low growth because of Labour's protections promised by the Union, which he argued stemmed from the early 20th century a socialist philosophy. He also argued that the Blair government's transport policy was motivated by a deep-seated prejudge against private transport. His main policy interventions during this period were critiqued by a system of public sector pensions. Record offered up a series of apologetic warnings that he continues to make to this day about the state of the public sector pension system finance. His chief gripe with the public sector pensions is that they are offered on a defined benefit basis, proportional to the career of a worker, that are therefore, in his opinion, a financial burden that acts on the drag of the state. One day he argues the whole pension system will collapse. So basically what he's essentially saying is that you, me, and people who are working class people who have a state benefit that we are entitled to and we should have entitled to provided by the government, that should be taken away from you, and your only source of income or benefit or pension you should have when you're older should come from the private sector that you earn yourself. That's essentially what he's saying. He's implying that no one should have any kind of state pension because he considers it a benefit to people. Yeah, shows you what kind of person he really is, doesn't it? He instead argues for a public sector pension system based on the returns of private investments made by each pension pot. There you go. In 2009, journalist Solomon Hughes criticised Records, pointing out that he as a Foxrich trader, Records customers included private pension funds, and that therefore capitalising public pensions would likely benefit him. In 2010, Records was cited as an article in the Financial Times titled "Foxrich Managers' Advice for Pension Businesses and How Firms in the Currency Trading Sector Were Trying to Make Themselves Stand Out to Attract Pension Funds as Clients." As the voting public fell out of love with the last Labour government, Record began to use his fortune to try and influence their likely successors. In 2009, he was named the 38th biggest political donor in Britain by the Sunday Times Rich League for the $52,500 he gave to the Conservative Party in opposition. By 2010, he had jumped to 20th on the list, having given $158,000 to the Tories, and in the same year he sat on the Independent Public Sector Pensions Committee, which criticised Gordon Brown's government's lack of transparency in public pension figures. He also got involved in the right-wing think tank World, writing reports for the Policy Exchange and joined the Institute of Economic Affairs, a free market think tank that receives fossil fuel industry funding. And as chairman in 2015, in 2015, and in 2024, Records remains a lifetime vice president of the IEA. Yeah, tells you everything, doesn't it? In 2014, he was revealed by the website The Song that Record was one of two principal funding streams from the Global Warming Policy Network, a climate change denialist think tank. Record remains clear chair of Net Zero Watch, the Tufton Street based campaign arm group of the GWPF, in which the Smog describes as the UK's most prominent climate science denial group. The GWPF and its founder, Nigel Lawson, has a long record of making inaccurate statements about climate science, among many other claims, and in 2011 the GWPF posted a speech from Cardinal George Pell, who claimed that global warming had stopped and that if CO2 doubled in its atmosphere, plants would love it. In 2015, Neil Records told Unearth that I believe the most important scientific inquiry required for us to understand man's effort on the climate being hampered by a monolithic establishment view that the science is settled. In reality, meta studies show that between 97 to 99.9% of scientists endorse the evidence of anti-delic climate change. Where there is any debate over the scale of the catastrophic facing the biosphere, more recently, Net Zero Watch wrote positively about Reform's UK's proposals to scrap net zero targets. Reform's policies are based on a series of discredited falsehoods about the climate, such as Richard attribution of climate change to the power of the sun and volcanoes, and irrelevance such as carbon dioxide importance and psychosynthesis and the warmth of Roman Britain. As well as Net Zero Watch, Neil Records was previously chair of the Restore Trust until November 2023. Restore Trust is an astroturf lobbying group pushing back against the perceived wokeness of the National Trust as well as its policies on rewilding and land conservation. Restore Trust previously told Byline Times that Mr. Records' involvement with the Global Warming Policy Foundation is not relevant to Restore Trust, which is not connected with the policies to mitigate climate change, which is what the group is interested in. However, we would encourage the National Trust to stop using palm oil margarines in its scones and cakes. Record has previously played down his influence over the Conservative Party, telling the Financial Times in 2010, "If someone said that you've got influence in the Tory Party, I'd say no, but it's unlikely to have an idea that I think is a good one that nor has been aired with senior Conservative politicians." What do you think about that? However, given his leadership campaign for the next likely next leader, the party is now being run from his own house, he may have changed his mind. Neil Record and Kemi Badenoch campaigns were both contacted for comment but did not respond by the time of publication. Do you think they're going to respond to this? I don't think they are, guys, if I'm honest. So Neil Record is obviously somebody who is not in the interest of ordinary people, is not in the interest of the UK, is not in the interest of the benefit of the United Kingdom in general or England in general. The benefit of him is enriching himself and enriching himself to the benefit of him and his fellow millionaires and billionaire friends. That's essentially what he is. And he's pretty much been that all his life, pretty much. So there it is, another person who is backing and supporting these nutters, and it's very, very frustrating, guys. It's very, very frustrating because I've talked in the past about how important it is to stop donations and influence on politicians, and it really does need to stop. It really does need to stop. This is political influence. You don't just throw money in and expect nothing in return. That's exactly what Neil Record has. He has influence in the Conservative Party, just like others who throw their money at the party, and it needs to be stopped dead in its tracks. In the Conservatives, in Labour, in Lib Dems, in Reform, it needs to be stopped dead in its tracks. Laws need to be changed so that money can be coming from the public person, not from private donors. It needs to stop. As long as these people have influence, British public will never get what they want from politicians. But what do you guys think? What do you guys make of Neil Record? What do you guys make of his climate change skeptic? What do you guys make of his history? Does any of this surprise you at all? Let me know your thoughts and more about him down in the comments section below. If you found this video interesting, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me in the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for just as little as 99p. Or you can join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.